Welcome, everyone, to the Continuous Improvement Lab. This is the show where we really dive deep into those management operations systems, elements, things that can seriously improve your team's performance. And hey, this is season 2, episode 20 of the Deep Dive. We're just blown away, honestly grateful to have listeners now in 23 countries.
That's fantastic.
It really is. Our new goal, we're setting it high, is to reach 30 countries and get over 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe or follow button. Also, just a quick note, this deep dive actually complements the business playbook, Shift Happens, how to lead with purpose and discipline every day. So there's more context there too. Okay, so today we're tackling a concept that, well, gets talked about a lot, but maybe isn't always fully embraced. Continuous improvement. But not just for processes, like fixing a step on an assembly line. We're talking about applying it to the very systems, the framework, that governs how your team actually works. You know, you might think, okay, continuous improvement, that's for the factory floor, or maybe optimizing one specific task. But what happens when the system itself, the one you use to manage everything, starts becoming the bottleneck?
Exactly.
What if it needs that constant, deliberate evolution? That's what we're going to explore today, based on the sources we've looked at.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how often organizations put a management operating system, an MOS, in place, and then just assume it's done, set in stone, like a static blueprint.
Like job done, move on.
Precisely. But the truly effective MOS, the ones that really drive performance, they're living frameworks. They absolutely must evolve right along with the business. So today, we'll look at the fundamental benefits of thinking about it this way, this dynamic approach, and just as importantly, how you can actually cultivate the mindset needed to make it happen with your own team.
Okay, good. So before we zero in on the MOS itself, let's maybe take a step back and ground ourselves in the basic why. Why is continuous improvement just so vital for any kind of operation, especially when we talk about specific processes?
Well, when you genuinely commit to continuous process improvement, the effects, they ripple out much further than you might initially think. It's not just about tweaking one little step. Our sources really highlight several key benefits that should, frankly, grab your attention. Doesn't matter if you're in manufacturing, services, or, pretty much anything in between. Yes, absolutely. You'll see a straightforward reduction in operational cost. That's kind of the obvious one. Finding efficiencies saves money.
The bottom line.
You'll also get faster processing times. Things get done quicker, which means better responsiveness, higher throughput. Naturally, it also reduces the likelihood of errors,
Fewer mistakes.
which leads to higher quality, less rework. And critically, it enhances the consistency and precision of your outputs. You get predictable, high-quality results, and that builds trust, reliability.
Okay, those all make sense. Efficiency, speed, quality.
But here's the deeper insight, I think. These improvements aren't just about the numbers of the bottom line. They actually significantly boost the morale and productivity of your employees.
Ah, okay. Tell me more about that connection.
Well, think about it. When processes are smooth, when things just work without constant roadblocks or frustrations, teams are just less frustrated. They're more effective, they feel more empowered.
Yeah, you're not fighting the system all day.
Exactly. And ultimately, all these internal improvements, the efficiency, the quality, the morale boost, they all translate directly into creating a positive customer experience. Better service, better products, faster response times for them too.
You know, it's so easy to just focus on the cost savings or the speed improvements, but that link to boosting employee morale and creating a better customer experience, that feels like where the real transformational power kicks in.
It really does.
Just think about how much friction, just day-to-day friction, those two benefits alone could remove for you and your team. It's huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the benefits are that clear, that compelling, how do we actually do it? How do we foster this culture of continuous improvement? Because, lots of leaders get the idea, but the execution, that's often where things fall down. Our sources seem to lay out a pretty clear, actionable cycle for this, a 5-step cycle.
That's right. Cultivating this mindset isn't just some abstract goal. It's actually a structured, almost you could say rhythmic approach. It involves a continuous loop, these 5 key steps. First up is reflection. And this means really taking the time to pause, step back, and truly assess what's working, what's not, and maybe most importantly, why.
Okay, so not just surface level stuff.
No, exactly. Often involves looking at actual data, gathering honest feedback from the team, not just relying on your gut feeling. Next is feedback integration. This is about actively seeking out and then actually incorporating input from all your stakeholders, your team, yes, but also customers, maybe partners.
Getting those different perspectives.
Absolutely. That's where you often uncover blind spots you didn't even know you had. Then, based on that, comes goal adjustment. You use that reflection, that feedback to refine your objectives, your priorities. Are the goals you set 6 months ago still the right ones? Do they need tweaking based on what you've learned?
Makes sense. Things change.
They do. Then, after adjusting goals, you plan for next steps. This is about strategically outlining the specific, concrete actions needed to achieve those adjusted goals. It's not just brainstorming, it's creating a clear, executable roadmap.
Right. Who does what by when?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, the step that makes it all real, commitment to action. Actually implementing the plan and, crucially, ensuring there's accountability. Because, let's face it, a brilliant plan that just sits on a shelf
Yeah.
is, well, it's just a nice idea.
Yeah, execution is everything. And that's why it's a cycle, isn't it? It's not like a checklist you just tick off once and you're done. It's this constant spiral of learning, adjusting, refining. So if you're listening and looking to make continuous improvement a real embedded part of your team's DNA, this cycle gives you that practical roadmap to keep things evolving, keep getting better.
Okay, so we've talked about improving individual processes. That feels pretty familiar to most people, I think. But now let's shift gears a bit to something maybe less intuitive, possibly more powerful. Applying the same relentless drive for improvement to your entire management operating system, the MOS itself.
Yes, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Our sources strongly emphasize that your MOS, it really should evolve as your organization grows, as market conditions change, as your strategy shifts. When we talk about a management operating system, or MOS, what we really mean is the deliberate architecture of how your team functions day in, day out.
Okay, like the routines, meetings, exactly. The structured routines, the tools you use, the communication channels, the decision-making processes. Everything from your daily stand-ups or huddles to your big strategic planning sessions. It's the engine of your team, really, not just the fuel it burns.
Got it. The engine.
So this means you need to regularly, consciously review and refine the system itself. Are there unnecessary steps? Can meetings be more effective? Is the whole thing still truly aligned with your current business objectives? The core insight here is that continuous improvement applies to this system, the engine, not just the individual operations or tasks it oversees.
So like you said earlier, it's not a static blueprint you build once, it's a dynamic engine. And just like my car engine needs, regular tuning, oil changes, maybe even upgrades over time as the car ages or I start driving in different conditions.
Exactly that analogy.
Your MOS needs that same constant attention. Otherwise, it stops being helpful and actually starts becoming a drag on performance.
Precisely. It can become bureaucratic, slow things down, frustrate people.
Okay, well, to really bring this home, to grasp the power of continuously improving the MOS itself, let's look at a concrete example. Our sources had a case study about a company called Horizon Components. That seems to highlight this whole process in action. And frankly, it sounds like a story many might recognize.
Yes, the Horizon Components story is quite telling. They're a manufacturer making precision parts. They initially implemented an MOS to bring some much-needed structure, which is a common starting point.
Right, trying to get organized.
Exactly. But after about 2 years, they started seeing diminishing returns. The system wasn't delivering like it used to. And the challenge became pretty clear when they looked closer. Meeting agendas had become bloated. They were tracking redundant data information nobody was really using. And teams were actually spending more time sort of feeding the MOS tools and maintaining the system than they were solving actual production problems on the floor.
Wow. So the system designed to help was actually getting in the way.
It had become a burden, a bureaucratic burden, really, draining energy instead of enabling efficiency, a classic case of the tool becoming the master.
So what did they do?
Well, Horizon recognized that their MOS, just like any living system, it needed to evolve. So their solution was pretty bold. They launched a continuous improvement initiative specifically focused on refining and streamlining the MOS itself. They put together cross-functional teams, got people from different areas involved, and had them review every single element. Daily huddles, weekly reviews, quarterly planning, the metrics tracked, the tools used, everything was on the table.
A full audit, basically.
A full audit, exactly. They focused on eliminating unnecessary steps, simplifying the tools, making sure they were only tracking and acting on high-impact metrics. And critically, they embedded periodic mandatory system reviews into their calendar every quarter. They'd look at the MOS again.
Okay, so they didn't just fix it once, they built in a process to keep fixing it.
That's the key insight. And the results. They were pretty immediate and impressive. Within just 3 months, they saw a 12% reduction in non-value-added meeting time. just less time wasted in unproductive meetings. On the shop floor, they measured a 15% increase in the rate at which they closed out issues. Problems got solved faster.
15% faster issue closure, that's significant on the floor.
It really is. And overall, productivity rose by 10%. Teams just felt things were smoother. Meetings were faster, decision-making was quicker, and there was a much clearer focus on the key business priorities because the system wasn't bogging them down anymore.
So real tangible benefits, fast.
Absolutely. But beyond just the numbers, this initiative had a profound cultural impact. It really strengthened Horizon's whole continuous improvement mindset. Because employees were actively involved in reshaping the system they worked within every day, it led to this renewed sense of ownership and engagement. The MOS transformed from being seen as this static burden into a dynamic, effective framework that was actually supporting their growth and excellence.
You know, that Horizon Components journey, it really hammers home the point, doesn't it? The irony is just so palpable. The system designed to help them actually became the bottleneck. Until they applied the very principles it was supposed to instill continuous improvement to the system itself. What, for you, listening to that story again, what was the most surprising or standout takeaway from their transformation?
You know, what really stands out to me is the speed of their results once they shifted focus to the system itself. It's easy for organizations to get kind of stuck down in the weeds, optimizing individual processes, which is important.
Sure, process improvement matters.
It absolutely matters. But when you step back, look at the overall scaffolding, the MOS, and you actively work to simplify that, the gains can be almost immediate, and they ripple out exponentially across the whole organization. It really proves that sometimes the biggest lever you can pull isn't in tweaking what you're doing task by task, but fundamentally changing how you're organized to do it.
That's a powerful insight. Sometimes the structure is the strategy, or at least enables it. Okay, so stepping back even further then, what does this all mean for the bigger picture? Is Horizon Components just, an interesting anecdote, or is this a widespread trend we're seeing among more forward-thinking organizations?
Oh, it's absolutely a widespread trend. Our sources clearly show this. Across core industries like manufacturing, warehousing, supply chain logistics, there's this growing recognition that you have to treat the MOS as a living framework. In fact, a study by the Lean Enterprise Institute found that organizations actively practicing continuous improvement on their MOS report, on average, a 19% increase in operational efficiency.
Wow, 19%. That's not trivial.
Not at all. And alongside that, a 15% boost in team engagement. Because again, people aren't fighting a clunky system. Rigid, outdated systems, they just can't keep pace anymore as businesses scale, as things get more complex. And this dynamic approach, it's also proving vital in highly technical fields. Think engineering, scientific research, medical sectors. Deloitte actually reported that engineering and R&D organizations that make it a point to revisit and streamline their MOS structures, say every 6 to 12 months, they reduce their project cycle times by up to 13%.
Getting innovation out faster.
Exactly. And in critical areas like hospitals and laboratories, refining their operational systems leads to up to an 18% reduction in errors. That's huge when patient safety or research integrity is on the line.
Absolutely critical.
And it's not just those areas. Even in fields you might not immediately think of, like marketing, education, various service industries, this philosophy is really gaining traction. McKinsey found that marketing teams that regularly refine their project management frameworks improve project delivery speeds by 16% and see enhanced campaign effectiveness.
Better campaigns, faster.
Right. And education institutions, when they adjust their internal operating systems, report improved staff engagement and better program success rates. So industry-wide, the leadership insight now really points to the MOS itself being subject to Kaizen principles.
Kaizen, that's the Japanese term for continuous improvement, right? Small, incremental steps.
Exactly. Continuous incremental improvement. It's about making small, consistent steps forward rather than waiting around for some massive disruptive overhaul every few years. So forward-thinking organizations, they're embedding regular system audits, feedback loops, getting stakeholder input, building it right into the design and maintenance of their MOS. This proactive, adaptable approach, it helps sustain productivity, it improves communication, and fundamentally, it fuels that culture of ownership and adaptability we talked about. It just positions companies much better for growth, for handling complexity, and for responding to rapid market changes.
It really seems clear then. Doesn't matter if you're on the factory floor or in a research lab, running marketing campaigns or educational programs. Keeping your management operating system agile, aligned with the real-time challenges you face, that's not just some nice to have. It seems to be the key to sustained success and, frankly, long-term resilience in today's world.
I think that sums it perfectly.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, as you, our listener, think about your own team's operations, maybe consider this provocative thought. How might applying this continuous improvement mindset, this Kaizen thinking, not just to your daily tasks, but to your own team's operating system itself, how might that unlock unforeseen efficiencies? Or maybe even dramatically increase engagement? What part, just one part of your current MOS could maybe use a refresh? Something to talk about. We really hope this deep dive into continuously improving your management operating system has given you some valuable nuggets of knowledge, some things to chew on. Remember, please subscribe or follow the Continuous Improvement Lab wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss our next deep dive. And for any additional information or resources related to today's topic, please feel free to reach out via our website at www.karasinnovations.com. That's KARASS innovations.com. And finally, a special thank you, as always, to our executive producer and founder, Lanier Johnson. We look forward to our next deep dive with you.